to the Whitest House. Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. Except the blood of the poor and the way they mouth. The last gas of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the Whitest House, where every room is a tomb that they lie about. Where you can put your filthy feet on the finest couch, and for the right amount, you can even buy it out.
That's the essence of your entire political identity. You might be a white supremacist.
Welcome back. I guess Happy New Year. See you next year.
Yo,
next year is about by yourself, brother. You about to Antonio Brown it? You about to take your shirt off and bounce? No, don't do that, brother. As you can see, you know, Amaricron or Amarion is taken out. You know, some one of our One Hood members. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our brother Trouble, man. Wish him well and good spirits.
Absolutely.
But he's recovering right now, and you know, Miracle is going to be joining us shortly to bring us some balance. You know what I'm saying? But we here. It's a new year.
We're here. How was your break, man? Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, it was cool. You know, of course the variant. You know what I'm saying? Kind of messed it up. You know what I mean?
Who you telling, man? Listen, I had plans to leave the country.
Oh, right. You got COVID too, right?
I got COVID, man. I got COVID.
Amarion out here passing out the hits, bro.
Listen, I was singing the new Amarion single, bro. I damn near went to a B2K concert, bro. I was out.
What was so wild to me was Amarion was talking about how B2K went through it with Y2K, B2K, and now Amaricron. Like, I'm like, you might be cursed, my nigga. You might just be cursed. You might just.
And I mean, and that's the thing, because they gotta be hurting because R. Kelly wrote most of their catalog. So
well, he's in jail. You in jail? You going to jail now? Yeah, R. Kelly's locked down. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey,
listen,
do your thing. So you know, we welcome everybody back. I'm Jasir X. I am the co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media, and I'm joined by a
man like Saeed with the shades. Yeah, come on, man. You know, we here for the new year. You know, new year, new forms of annoyances for all of you. I can't wait. 2020. I'm about to piss everybody off, man. I can't wait. I'm happy. Oh shit.
Look who is here, right? The twin.
It's okay.
The sixth Sagittarius.
Don't start with me, because I would have been there on time, but somebody didn't want to start the new year with me, so it's fine.
Wow.
Because somebody got bronchitis.
But first of all, HIPAA.
We don't put everybody's medical information.
Public safety. That's public safety.
We didn't put Trevor's information out here.
I was out here masked up, and he was like, "Don't come here." So I had to leave Wilkinsburg and come all the way over here, like within 10 minutes.
Oh, how fast are you driving? What traffic laws did you break?
If I get a super speed ticket, you gotta pay it.
Well, thankfully, Miracle, if your registration is bad, the cops can no longer pull you over. But you know, so
100 more days before that goes into effect.
Oh, damn. Okay, well, be careful. Get your registration, including me. Let me get my registration together. So we're here. Did you introduce yourself, Miracle? Did you introduce yourself?
Oh, he said I was a sixth Sagittarius.
Sixth Sagittarius. Because we're not only are we going to talk about Sagittarianism, we're going to talk about domestic terrorism today.
Well, are we? Is it domestic? And it's wild because if y'all remember, our first show last year was probably our most watched show all year, because our first show last year happened to fall on January 6th. So while, you know, angry mobs of Trump supporting white people were storming the Capitol and wiping feces on the wall and climbing the walls, and
sober-minded black people were tuning into us.
So it was so we're here like 1 year later, and that was a crazy episode because it was emotional, you know, because many of us felt like, you know, if that was black people, it would have been a different response from the authorities. And you know what I'm saying, you had white men with their feet on, you know, the desk of Congress people. You had Congress people feeling like their lives were threatened. You actually had police shoot and kill a woman who tried to breach the Capitol. You had a police officer get beat to death. I mean, like, oh, Trouble tuned in from bed. What up, Trouble? You know what I'm saying? Like, you get better, my brother. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, it's important to say this. Not only did a police officer get beat to death, they beat him to death with the American flag.
With the American flag. How
that is wild to just like conceptualize. Like that's literally some Crispus Attucks, French and Revolutionary War type shit. Like they actually killed this man with them. Blue lives did not matter that day, my nigga.
No, they did not matter. It's like that one picture where the white guy is like hitting the black guy in the stomach with the American flag. It's just like that, that visual. So a year later, right?
A year later. Fucking hell, man.
What are y'all like? Tomorrow is the anniversary.
We should take tomorrow off. Everybody should. This should be a federal holiday, a day of remembrance. A day of remembrance.
If that was black people that did that shit, you definitely sure it will be. They've been there. They would have had all types of tears on and all that. So how should we? Let me ask you first. Like how and this is to Miracle or Saeed. Like how will you look back at tomorrow? Like 1 year later, what's the biggest takeaway from what happened last January 6th, the Capitol riot?
Well, I'm glad you said that because I did tee up the fact that One Hood Power has a program tomorrow from 11 to 12:30 talking about this very issue on our Facebook and YouTube pages. However, what we should be thinking about today is the fact that nothing of substance has really happened since January 6th, right? If you juxtapose this with September 11th, when that domestic terrorism happened, we got the TSA, we got Department of Homeland Security, we got wiretapping laws, we got bank changing laws,
Patriot Act.
We got the Patriot Act, we had extraordinary rendition, right? We had all of this stuff happen.
And Freedom Fries. You remember Freedom Fries?
We had all of this stuff happen within a week of this incident. Nothing really has happened. Yes, a couple of people have pled guilty, but there has been nothing substantial. On top of that, we're still dealing with white supremacy in our police academies and in our military academies, to the point that everyone's like, yeah, domestic terrorism is by white supremacists is one of the biggest threats to democracy right now. So nothing, looking back, has changed. It just made people really realize that like white supremacy will assault and attack white people to survive. That was the biggest takeaway, because those politicians were shooketh. And the definition of shooketh was like those politicians, even Pence on January 6th. And so that, I think, is the biggest takeaway. And that's why you see a lot more people mobilizing around stopping white supremacy, is because they realize it's not just coming for black and brown folks.
Yeah, you could even argue that it's like it's become harder for black people and brown people to vote now. You could argue all of these different things have like it, but like as far as like repercussions for white people in general, or domestic terrorism in general, or white supremacist organizations, we really saw none of that. And that is like, when you think about what took place last year, it's like that's kind of crazy. That's wild. Saeed, what is your takeaway?
I'll never forget it, because that was that was when I came off my personal hiatus. But I took a call that day because there was a university that wanted me to speak for Martin Luther King Day. So I took the call from the university, and they were like, we regret to inform you that we view you and One Hood Media too radical to speak at our university. And then right after that, they stormed the Capitol. So I was like, oh, we too radical now, but these niggas is out here showing they fucking ass, eh? Like they're out here like literally trying to stage a coup, but One Hood's radical.
And you could say like, you probably have to show your ass if you're going to wipe it with feces and then smear it on the wall. So,
man, like, so, but that was well played. What I feel about what happened though, like in the wake of, the shaman got some vegan meals. That became a story in and of itself. right? The nigga with the water buffalo hat from the Flintstones. He got his vegan meals and his whole food catered food, which just shows the inequalities that happen within the prison industrial complex of how prisoners are treated. Right? He came in there and got everything he needed, but they needed to pass legislation to get Muslims halal meals. I digress. We had nothing of merit has happened. Not like really, like if we really just looking at it and we keeping it tall, nothing worth talking about has happened to anybody. What? There was like a 3-year sentence. I'm sure the one brother that was in there doing whatever the fuck he was doing in there still ain't got no trial yet. That nigga still sitting in jail. So it's like, you know, shit is wild, bro. But what do you expect?
I feel like the person who has got the longest sentence was that black man who didn't even go to the Capitol, but he was on his computer telling people to go commit crimes, and so he's the one that got the biggest crime, like the biggest sentence, and he even run with somebody.
Well,
what happened to our brother?
Somebody, go ahead.
No, I would say, what happened to the brother, the black officer that Trump put all his information out? What happened to him?
Crazy. But just like you said, blue lives don't matter, particularly if they're standing up against white supremacy. Like all those police officers that stood up and said, you know, these were Trump supporters, these were white supremacists. I feared for my life. I was afraid. They're all like, they don't care about none of them. They don't care that they're cops. They don't care if they was ex-military. They don't give a damn. But there is one thing I thought that you said, Miracle, that really stuck with me was the fact that one of the things that took place at the Capitol was the fact that you had a lot of police officers, ex-police officers, military and ex-military. And the fact that there is this, you know, you just had an article come out about a guy who was undercover in the KKK. I'm gonna add it to the chat. And he talked about the infiltration of the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacist organizations in police and the military, that's still happening right now. And so you're right in a sense that you have that happening. And as far as, I think one guy got a 5-year sentence. That's the highest sentence so far. And that was for assaulting a police officer. You think, like, I would think that if you assaulted a police officer, that you would definitely get more than just 5 years in prison. You know what I'm saying? That you would get.
And was it a federal crime? Did they give it
this is federal.
It was federal. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like, damn, you assaulted a Capitol police officer while you're breaking into the United States Capitol. And you only got 5 years. And so, you know, the Newsweek put out a story that said most Americans say punishments against Capitol rioters are not harsh enough. I'm assuming that you all agree. You know what I'm saying? It says fewer than 2 in 10 Americans, they felt the punishment were too harsh. Meanwhile, you got Marjorie Greene and her crew like doing press conferences for the rioters that are still locked up or whatever. But, you know, like the fact that, you know, people are looking and saying that these are lighter sentences, Miracle, does this speak to the fact that it's just only a matter of time before this happens again?
Pretty much, because at the end of the day, like nothing has happened. Now, if say a multicultural coalition stormed the Capitol to get like student loans, you know, changed, everybody going to jail, prison, that you're going to get decades. But because it's right-wing fascism, no one really wants to engage that segment of the population. So they pretty much let them do what they want to do. And it's unfortunate because it's going to happen again. We're not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We just had, I forgot what talk host saying, I think it was Senator Cruz from Texas talking about, you know, Biden is impeachable, and you know, we're going to try to impeach Biden, and then we're going to have Kamala as president, and then we're going to, you know, people are going to lose their minds, and it's going to happen again. And we're at the point where nobody cares anymore. Like we're really Biden's on break. Like nobody wants to do anything anymore. And these subpoenas keep telling us what we already know, but nobody really has the bandwidth to politically prosecute. To prosecute someone that's going to be interpreted as a political prosecution.
It's fascinating because there was, and I'm trying to see if I can find an article, but there was an article that I saw over the break that said 1 in 3 Republicans like justify violence or feel like violence is justified during this time. So just like you said, if you have numbers like that where 1 in 3 Republicans are saying like, yo, like we might need violence in this time. And then you have, you know, people that storm the Capitol not really get any high sentences. I mean, you could almost, you know, believe that like maybe it's not the Capitol, maybe it's somewhere else, but violence like this is going to continue. Saeed?
You know, we could sit here and talk about this, but out here in the multiverse of madness, there is some place where they were successful, right? Imagine what that universe is like. Like these motherfuckers was actually successful when they attempted coups. Like we gotta think about.
Is that going to be your new show? Why are you giving the ideas away, bro? That should be a one good scripted series, brother.
Man, no, I'm just saying, like you know, I've been thinking about that all day, like really and truly. Like there's some universe out here that existed where they were successful with that, and what would that look like had they have achieved their goal?
Man,
right?
It wouldn't look good for us as black and
brown.
No, hell no. I'll tell you what. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I mean, we've seen plenty of these actions over the course of the last year of increased amounts of violence against black and brown people, against people who have stood up in opposition, you know, from whatever their ideological set was.
Yeah, and so I did want to come back to you, Miracle, because Politico did an article that asked the question, and you touched on it a little bit. It said, why is the Department of Justice avoiding the domestic terrorism sentences for the January 6th defendant? It said clearly, like, according to the law, the legal definition, that this qualifies for domestic terrorism, but specifically the Department of Justice is saying, or they're choosing to not, you know, enhance these sentences. You know, normally the feds, if they can enhance your sentence and make it longer, I know, particularly if you black and brown, they're gonna hit you with them enhancements. Exactly. They're gonna hit you with them drug enhancements, whatever. So, like, why then in this case would they clearly is domestic terrorism?
Conspiracy. They're white. Let's be honest. Who wanted to send 500, 600 white people to federal prison? They're not going to do it.
I would say me throw them niggas under the jail.
The purpose of that rally was not a First Amendment situation. The purpose of that rally was to stop the swearing in of President Biden. That was the act of committing multiple felonies and violence to stop a political process, which is the textbook definition of domestic terror. The textbook to the point. Definition, yes. These people were literally tweeting and talking about on January 6th, we're taking back our country. Like, it wasn't even a secret. And it's just, there is no political will, because I know I know people who are serving time on less evidence for doing less things in federal situations. We literally just saw, even here in Pittsburgh, people get conspiracy and riot charges when stuff wasn't even broken. We know what can happen when people allegedly break the law and do good trouble. But when it's Caucasian people, what was it? The mother of six? What was it? The mother of six?
The yoga mom? The
yoga mom.
Yeah. All that, right.
The person,
the man with the Lego set, everything.
Persuaded by Fox News, the CEO on a plane, all type of stuff. Like, nobody wants to see those people in jail, and that's why it didn't happen. Literally, it's the easiest thing. They cross state lines to commit a crime. That's automatic felony. They did it in the jurisdiction of DC. That's automatic felony. They did it for the purposes of impeding a political process that is terrorism. It's the easiest thing. It's the open thing. They don't want to do it. Merrick said, y'all won't give me the Supreme Court justice. I'm barely giving you stuff as Attorney General.
And what's interesting, like you said, according to the article, the domestic terrorism charge would just add like an extra 15 years. If you add 15 years, like, to me now, it's like, okay, that's a legitimate sentence, right?
Yeah,
for what you did, right? This guy beat a cop, broke into the Capitol. That should be a 20-year sentence. I know this ain't abolitionist talk, Miracle. I'm sorry, but I want these white folks to do a lot of jail time.
Yeah,
and
because
the ones that committed these crimes that we're talking about.
Right, crimes, right. Not all white people.
Won't try to, come
people that committed the crimes. Absolutely.
You can sit, and that's the echo what you're saying, bro. Like, some of these people that came in with this mindset, you know, they may have been expecting jail time and they were thinking like, you know, I could sit down maybe a 2-year bid or something like that. But you start throwing them football numbers at somebody, then you start sweating, right? Then you start to see that, oh shit, like, you know, I was prepared to do 2 to 3 years. I could do that easy, right? I got the, maybe I built up the mental discipline to run into the Capitol building. I could run into a jail and I could be all right? But then they say, oh yeah, 15, 20, 30 years. And now you're thinking about, okay, well, I might not come home to my kids. You get me? Like I might not see my family anymore. So, you know, the lack of the enhancements and everything that was thrown in was wild, because like they amended that shit specifically for Timothy McVeigh. They amended that specifically. What are we laughing at? What did I miss?
Oh no, I like this Mandy energy.
I said
this is the energy. This is the energy I like, Mandy. You know what I'm saying?
That was a very detailed.
Yeah. Make pizza out of a bag of Funyuns and SpaghettiOs. That's what I'm talking about, right? No vegan.
This sound like, man. This sounds like somebody who know what the inside look like. Because I'll tell you
Mandy energy, absolutely. But
man,
no,
listen,
like you said, like you said, Farouk, like remember when it's black people, right? We just had a black Democratic state's representative call for bringing back mandatory minimums against black people, right? And because why did mandatory minimums come up? Because supposedly that time was a deterrent, right? Mandatory minimums meant if I get caught with a gun and I'm going down for 10 years, like you said, oh, I can't do that. And so we were told that the reason we had to do these mandatory minimums was because it was a deterrent to crime. But now when it's white people, right? And we're saying like, this is kind of wild. Like they're trying to literally overthrow, like maybe we want a deterrent to like overthrowing our whole democracy. Like and that's the question. That is big enough for a deterrent. It's like, nah, man. But if you on that corner just trying to make a living, yeah, we want to deter that. But overthrowing the whole country, I will give you 2 years. We'll see.
So this is a question. This is a question for Miracle. Like legislators and policymakers, how do you create legislation and you know, proactively or retroactively to keep this from happening?
It's already on the book.
Created. It's
there. I mean, that's the thing. They're not enforcing it. That's what I'm saying. So like, yeah, what do you do? What amendments do you have to make in order to assure, like, hey, when this happens again, we can get these motherfuckers, right? Like, how do you get that shit?
There doesn't need to be another law written. All you need is the prosecutor to be like, this is what I'm going to do. And that's what's mind-boggling about it, because we know as black and brown folks, we stand outside too long. We get loitering laws. We get, you know, disturbing the peace. We get
quality of life violations.
You know, all these type of things. So we're so used to legislation coming down to correct our behavior.
Yes,
they have all the things. You literally, if you know someone who's allegedly out here selling drugs, you know one of the charges is the use of doing illegal things, the use of a communication device. They were on social media. They were on television. Right?
It was like The Wire. It was like The Wire.
It was like all of the stuff that they needed. They were in like-minded clothes. Gang affiliation right there. Like all the stuff that we know gets brought to us doesn't happen. And then what is going to be sad is they're going to say, oh, they want more people from January 6th to go to jail. Therefore, they must want more jails. So we'll just build more jails. We'll do more police, and they'll put more black and brown folks in these prisons and jails. And these white folks who do these crimes. I think it's also, we have to talk about, Republicans are the best abolitionists out there, right?
That's a fact.
About that. Like, Republicans are the best abolitionists. What did Trump do? He broke the laws. He's freed his friends. He made sure people didn't go to jail. He changed the First Step Act just enough to get all these white collar criminals out and then bounce. Yeah. So
what a time. Let me say this. What a time to be white in America right now.
They're calling him Big T.
Big T, man. Listen, like if you're white in America right now, you get rid of everything, man.
We are not calling him the big homie.
Big T. So Miracle. So on that day last year, it's funny because apparently Big T wasn't communicating with his son.
I will reject this.
He wasn't communicating with
now.
But what?
Not
Big
calling
T.
him Big T. We will call him 45.
Lil T. Lil White T.
Mr. T. Mr. T.
So look, so Donald Trump was tweeting Sean Hannity. The Sean Hannity, for those that don't know who Sean Hannity is has a terrible TV show on Fox News where they just be lying, you know what I'm saying? But Trump was tweeting Sean Hannity. The January 6th commission has these tweets, you know, according to Sean Hannity or Fox News, they're saying, I don't know, that's the First Amendment, and because he's a journalist, he's protected. Apparently Sean Hannity was telling Trump, like, maybe you don't want to, you know, force Mike Pence to overturn this election because all the White House counsel quit. Like, they were trying to talk Trump off of the ledge. Like, how do we view Trump tweeting Sean Hannity or texting Sean Hannity in this moment? And should Sean Hannity be like forced then to testify about what his role was in January 6th?
What if Obama was tweeting Sean King? It's like, Sean, what do I do?
Hey, bro, if that was happening, Sean would have screenshots of that on his Instagram about 5 seconds. One thing about Sean King, he gonna let you know what he's doing, especially if it's gonna be with somebody major. Sean King gonna let you know.
We have said before.
Sean King would have them. Sean King would put his text messages on like one of them African cotton hoodies.
Oh my God!
One of its kind, so we have to support black owned.
That black.
Shout out Sean King. Yeah, it's from Africa. The hoodies were from Africa. Support that man.
What part of Africa?
What I was saying was,
should we be having African
co-conspirators
from Sean King?
Co-conspirators do not have First Amendment protections, as a reminder.
Okay.
Beneath.
Thank you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, when you're a co-conspirator, you're a criminal according to the eyes of the law, and therefore your protections are just, you know, taken away and thrown away. Additionally,
that's why I do my dirt all by my lonely.
I don't know, because you don't do dirt, sir. Like,
not anymore.
Additionally, if your cell phone company or other person gives the data from your phone away, it's a third party willingly giving away your information, and that again is not a First Amendment violation. So again, if you do anything illegally on the phone, you probably shouldn't do it because you don't control that information at all. But we've said before that it's a grift. These conservative commentators do not believe 95, maybe outside of Tucker Carlson, do not believe 95% of the things that they say or the stuff that they advocate. And this really goes to show and prove it. Like, how can you sit there and say there's nothing wrong with what happened on January 6th, but behind the scenes you're like, bruh, cut this out. Like, it's too far gone. Like, we are literally afraid that people are going to run and do stuff tomorrow, right? We are literally afraid at these next election sites, people are going to steal the machines again, that people are going to use mass violence during elections. It's too far gone. Like, white supremacy is unhinged, and there's really 100%. No way to contain it right now because there's no political will to do so. Democrats don't really want to run shit. We have really seen, and Republicans are like, look, we're going to ride this wave until it can't carry us no more, and they'll be on to the next.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, last year, January 6th was when, you know, Twitter took the step of actually suspending Donald Trump's account. I believe he was kicked off all social media January 6th. I believe Facebook suspended his account as well.
But that was so superfluous.
Oh yeah, it was definitely. I mean, people were saying like, how many of your rules does he have to break? But just recently, you know, one of Trump's friends, and you know, this is a congresswoman who's on video talking about the planning of January 6th. Hey, we just got done planning about January 6th. Show up is going to be wild and crazy. Marjorie Green Taylor, is that her name?
That's it. You know yeah, pronounce it. Sound it out.
So she those damn Caucasian names be so hard to pronounce. I tell you, they be hard to pronounce, bro. I can't get them. But she was suspended permanently from Twitter. This was for COVID misinformation. You know, they said that she gave so much COVID misinformation that they decided to permanently ban her from Twitter, joining Donald Trump, who was also permanently banned What do y'all think about? Is that where did you look? I can't even pronounce that word. Superfluous. Damn, that was hard.
I mean,
is that or is that does that meaningful that this congresswoman, a sitting congresswoman, Republican Trump supporter, that she also got removed off of Twitter? Does that mean?
I thought
her
COVID
days
didn't
were
exist.
numbered when she posted the final call. We already knew she posted that her days were numbered. We already knew that they were like, nah, man, too far.
How come we don't got no final call to office?
You know what? That's I don't know if people are out there. I mean, it's COVID, so I wouldn't. I don't think anybody is out there. We have Jehovah's Witnesses in our family. They're not going door to door. Like, they got to call you on the phone. Like, they're not going.
They cold calling for Jesus. Cold calling for Christ. Hello. I'd like to talk to you about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and the extended warranty on your car. I don't know which would be worse. The extended warranty or calling for Christ. Like, which one do you want to get?
Lord. Yeah, I mean, that would be difficult, though. In the days now, it would be difficult to just cold call somebody.
Did you say they would call and say it's the end of days? Like, hey, hello, this is the end of days. I'm not paying you. I'm not paying AT&T then. Them niggas ain't getting no more money from me. The Jehovah's Witness said it's the end of days. To spend my account if you want, nigga. You ain't getting shit.
Woo! Yes. COVID has created a whole new world. You know what I'm saying? So you might answer one of them calls, and it might be somebody just trying to give you some righteous, information, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Someone get God on the phone, man.
Shout out to our Jehovah's Witnesses, our Muslim brothers, all those folks. Oh man. So do you have any comment on COVID misinformation from Majorie, whatever her name is?
No, because it's too little too late. When they were talking about Black people couldn't get COVID, when they were talking about just turn your cell phone off, when they were talking about just go stand outside, that was the time to do misinformation and control the misinformation.
Right.
Not 2 years later, like, bro, no. Let her talk about stuff now. You're not changing nothing.
Didn't didn't it hit 1 million cases yesterday?
Listen.
Yes.
I think 1 million deaths.
1 million deaths.
Yeah, I think we're at 1 million deaths or close to 1 million deaths. And there was a Republican congressman that came out, I think it was yesterday, that said, God ain't make the vaccine, so he ain't taking it. And people was like, all right, well, my brother, like, take them glasses off. Like, what you mean? God made your sight, right? Like, take them shoes off, homie. Your feet should work fine. Like, what are you saying? Like,
it's just so interesting when they choose to employ the Bible and when they don't. But that is so. God did God also don't like ugly. That's why a lot of these niggas is dying. So
a lot of stuff. But that would have been a time then to ban her. But no.
True.
When
Very
she was harassing a lot of other Muslim colleagues, that would have been a time to ban her. No.
So, but speaking of, and you had mentioned, Miracle, about Democrats not wanting to govern. And we do have some, we have our Terry Cruz's of the week. And the one is the new Black mayor of New York City. I think his name's Eric Adams, right? Former police officer.
No, his name is Hoass Eric Adams.
Listen, we have to go to New York this year. I'm gonna need you to calm that down.
We do have to go to New York. So
I'm good. I'm good.
So Eric Adams,
I'm going to be able to survive in Rikers because you're good.
So, well, first Eric Adams came out and said, he was bringing swagger back to New York, and I think you pointed out, Miracle, that he had the least amount of drip of any Black man that you've seen. Oh, am I supposed to say that? You said he was dry. You said he was Sahara Desert dry.
The plumbers fixed all that shit, man. The Mario brothers came and tightened up all them bolts.
I said the drip was lacking.
That nigga out here looking like sandpaper, bro. Like, he ain't bro.
So
how your wardrobe be ashy, my nigga? Like,
his shirts are ashy.
Like, bro, he out here hurt. You the mayor of New York City, and you look like that, man. Are you giving the city a bad name, bro?
So Eric Adams came out today,
Fucking
and he
bozo.
had a message. If you want to pull that video up, John, I see the video. Eric Adams had a message from what he called. Oh no, don't put it on me, brother. I didn't say this. What he called low-skilled workers.
Look at the drip.
Look at this.
Look at the drip.
He tried to throw some graffiti on his.
And he's the one who said we
tried to-
gotta prosecute graffiti.
He tried to hip hop it up. Come on, bro. Stop that. All right, so let's hear what Mayor Eric Adams had to say.
My low-skilled workers, my cooks, my dishwashers, my messengers.
My
Oh,
low-skilled workers. That's like when Trump. That's like when Trump said my African American here, bro. That's the same. Like, yo.
But like what? Anybody that's ever had a meal, I guess I don't know. Maybe we had to replay. Anybody that's ever had a meal knows a cook isn't low-skilled. Like, what are you talking about? Low-skilled
people.
Okay, here it is.
Dunkin' Donuts. They cannot.
Listen.
Oh, it stopped. Well, we get the point. I mean, he basically said, we'll just say, he said these low.
He said my people who aren't educated enough to have white collar jobs don't have the intelligence to come to work.
Yes.
Right.
These low-skilled people
they're too
can't,
dumb. They're too dumb to be safe.
or they don't have
Or
a
sitting
high
out-
enough skill. They don't have a high enough skill to basically to go to an office. But this is what he said. He said they can't sit in the office building. They don't have that level of skill. They're low skilled, which is why they're working at Dunkin'. As if to say, like, if you're somebody working at Dunkin' Donuts, you're not intelligent enough to hold an office job in New York City. Comments on Eric Adams on day 2, just messing it all up.
Why y'all gotta embarrass us in public? Like, what happened to that? Like, do not embarrass the family in public type of upbringing. I'm confused. But it's kind of funny because I think it was like the last week or the week before, DoorDash had asked its engineers to do like one dash a month, like just to go out and to do a delivery. And they almost rioted because they were like, no. Like, so to talk about like low skill, no worker is low skill, right? And the fact that these were the same essential workers that got us through 2 years of the pandemic to all of a sudden turn around and say they are low skill and therefore they have to stay on the front lines to serve people is
I thought they was heroes.
problematic, right? They were heroes, but now they're just low skill. That's the problem. And it's once again, this the issue with capitalism, is the issue with these people who are in office who do not see the value in working class people. Because at the end of the day, had you went and talked to those low skill workers, they would probably have more solutions to dealing with this pandemic than anyone sitting in your office.
100%. 100%. Yes.
Let me ask you a question, Miracle.
What's up?
What time exactly on a clock is the end of the day? Is it when the sun goes down or is it 11:59 p.m.?
I don't know. Because
is it the end of the day or is it the
like when we
goes into night?
Yeah, like when we say that, like what time are we actually referring to? Is it like when the sun comes down because that's technically the end of the day? Or is it when it's the end of days?
All right, brother.
When the Jehovah's Witness call you.
Are you counting time on us, brother? Are you counting time? Are you dropping some Jehovah's Witness bars?
I was just curious, man. I just did. It was a legit question.
So speaking of that, well, maybe you know who would be able to help with that? Probably some teachers. And so in Chicago, in Chicago, where there's another black mayor, a black woman named Lori Lightfoot, who they're now calling Lori Lockout, right? She basically, the Chicago Teachers Union voted to remain virtual. Why? Because Amarion is out
COVID.
here. Come on, man. Super COVID. You already know what it is. And Chicago, the schools don't have testing. The schools don't have tracing. They don't know anything. And so the teachers voted to stay virtual. And, Mayor Lori Lightfoot basically said, if y'all not coming to school, ain't gonna be no school. Shut down the schools, shut everybody out of Google Classroom.
Yeah, lots them out of Google Classroom.
Wouldn't allow virtual classes, and basically is now saying if they don't come to work, ain't no one getting paid. Again, capitalism, again, raising, and from what I understand, the teachers were saying like they just wanted to the 18th. Like they were like, right now it's hot. Let's make sure everybody stays safe. We'll come back to Lori wants them back now.
This is from the same person who took the COVID relief money for her city and gave it to
Yes.
law enforcement.
Gave it to
The
the
same
police,
person.
yes. She
The
might be
same
one of the
person.
worst mayors that we've ever seen in our entire. She also is lacking a tremendous amount of drip as well, Miracle. If I may say
I was
so.
just about to say, man, like, yo, she needs some natural juices and berries in that, man. Something like.
And the
Comments,
funny
Miracle?
thing is, there was actually, according to the people on Twitter, there was actually a virtual school where people who said, I'm not going in person. She also locked out the teachers from the virtual school and denied access to the virtual school as well, because that is how idiotic her current administration is. And I get this, these are unprecedented times, but at the end of the day, it's really important that we take precautions. Everybody's going to get COVID and we're all going to die, we're all going to live. It's not the best policy to have. Like, I thought I was living in a democracy, not in like a survival of the fittest. And 100%. It's like, if we're going to make evolution a thing, come out and say that. Like, come out and say, like, we have to volunteer as tribute because nobody wants to do the right thing. I think we can have a different conversation, but to not have testing, to not have tracing, to not even have a quarantine plan put in place, and to not even fully understand the CDC guidelines to tell teachers who actually had active COVID-19 infections with symptoms that they also have to return to school is even more problematic. And it's just ridiculous.
It is. It's like fear factor. It's crazy. Go ahead.
How does she have all that authority to shut down the teachers and tell the teachers when they can't teach, but she can't tell the cops to stop shooting unarmed Black people?
I mean, she could.
Ooh.
Does she want to, though? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Thing.
Where's the shots fired, John? Where's
all that energy? Like we said, keep the same energy. Keep the energy for them police.
What was the young brother? What was the young 13-year-old that the police officer killed?
Oh,
Adam Toledo. That was his name. Adam Toledo.
That was crazy.
yeah.
Adam Toledo. Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. You could have just went with the sound of the police. You could have went with the woo.
Sorry for the people who are like driving now, listening. And
I mean, me personally, I like what John did just there. Thank you, John. I like that.
No. So that's a great point, and I think like that. You know, like you said, like where's that authority when it comes? It's always. When it's about saving Black lives, we don't have none of those, none of that vigor, and none of that energy. But when it's about, and that's for both these mayors, right? But when it's about, oh, we have to get this, because really the whole thing is kids going back to school so parents can go to work and go and, like, you know, Eric Adams said, go do the shoe shine work, go to the corner store, you know, restart the economy or jumpstart the economy. The economy and money is more important than human lives. It's always been how it is in America. That's how we got here. You know what I'm saying? So let's come on. I mean, that's what we're dealing with.
All this advocacy globally for capitalism and, you know, against socialism and Marxism and communism. And look what it leaves you with. Poverty. It leaves you with a pandemic. It leaves you with death. It leaves you with 1 million people dead from an illness that, you know, by all, you know, reality can be prevented. Right. Or at least at the very least mitigated.
I mean, yeah, especially if you just didn't politicize like putting a mask on or taking a vaccine. I mean, like
that's all I'm saying, right?
And this is
hey, stay at home, right? Yep. How about that? How about just staying home? Like
for some people,
since we're all here, I would like to take the time I can appreciate the culture that we've established organizationally, that we have that option, right? We can protect ourselves from each other by not coming to the office of bronchitis. Because
I know you about to do this. This is why I can't fucking stand you. First of all, I had a mask.
Because there's flu Rona in France. There's flu Rona in France.
I don't have the flu Rona, friend. And why would you even think that I would come?
I don't know. You was just in France.
First of all, First of all, where I go is nobody's business but my own. Are you like no? Did you find me out? No. Don't tell people where I went. Number one. Number two, all my tests were negative because I couldn't go from one place to the other without saying I was negative. Number three,
couldn't get back in the country.
I wear my mask and I wash my hands when I go out. You know what? I'm not even gonna say number 4 because I would have gotten you.
Yo,
I would have
two,
gotten
trois,
you.
quatre, cinq.
I would have gotten you, but one of us on this call, has already battled the Rona, and one of us has not.
Twice. These nasty fucks got me sick
we're
twice.
Talk about being threats to each other. I think maybe we need to look in the mirror. But
hey, I quarantine.
Okay, and when you were with me the day before, so you clearly did not quarantine because you were feeling symptoms the day before.
No, I wasn't feeling symptoms that night.
Okay, so weren't we just talking about One Hood not getting people sick? So anyway,
I don't get people sick. Who have I gotten sick?
Nobody.
Exactly.
We're thankful for that. But we did. So not to.
I'm in the office wearing my mask. Hold on.
Yes.
Pause. When we had our meeting, didn't I have my mask on the whole entire time?
Miracle, you are consistent. You are the one consistent mask wearer in One Hood. You are super consistent. If you go look at the pictures, normally the person wearing the mask is Miracle. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? So we'll give you that bell. So we do have
6 Sagittarius to put me out 45 minutes into the show.
Yeah, that is why.
I'm glad I changed because I used to set people's tires for stuff like this.
Allegedly.
We're glad you changed too, Miracle, because we don't want any alleged vandalism. We want Farouk to be able to drive where he wants to go. So we did want to end with, because there is a story coming out of our area that has picked up a lot of attention. We were on break, but we did hear about it. It's been going on social media. And this is the case of a Jamaican immigrant that was living in Pittsburgh named Peter Spencer. According to what we're hearing from his family, he went on a hunting trip with a group of white people. He was the only black person that was on the hunting trip. And the hunting trip ended with him being shot multiple times in somebody's yard in Venango County. And nobody has been arrested for this. Well, somebody was arrested and then let go. As far as we know, no one has been charged. Peter Spencer's fiance and his family have not been getting information about his death. One of the local organizations, BPEP, has put out a letter and came out publicly calling for, I believe, the feds to get involved, the federal government to get involved in this investigation. I know, we don't have all the details, but we definitely want to know what happened. I mean, somebody got shot. Obviously, they had guns. It's a hunting trip. They had guns. Who did the shooting and why? I mean, that information should be at least made public to his family. And who did the shooting and why? And then why was this person released or not released? That's information that we should at least have. According to the Venango County DA, they're collecting ballistics, collecting information. It's wild though, because when black people do the shooting, we locked up during the collection process. Like we get charged, they're going to lock us down. It's similar to what we just talked about with the Capitol riot. All of a sudden, a black victim and white people who did the shooting, and now we got to collect all this information and we got to get our story straight. Miracle, is this just basically what we saw on January 6th playing out right here outside of Pittsburgh?
January 6th, what we saw with George Zimmerman, what we're seeing with Jim Rogers, is a lack of communication. And this is what I'll say, from police departments to district attorneys' offices, it is the lack of communication to tell people what is happening, what is going on. Again, things happen, crimes happen, tragedies happen. How somebody can get shot multiple times and you can't tell people what happened. You have to say, we're still investigating, that we talked to the people, but we're not doing all the information. I think it's hard. It's hard to have to bury someone and not know. And especially when it comes to black people, I always talk about John Crawford, who literally the state of Ohio said he was terrorizing people. And finally, after his funeral, they're like, oh, he was just a victim. He was falsely accused. Oh, well, we're going to move on. That is what our history and legacy is when it comes to these shootings. And so it's up to these police officers to do a lot more with their communication. It's up to these district attorneys to explain the process to these families, because a lot of this social media advocacy is just so people can get answers. And right now there aren't any to give, and it doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. Farouk, you have any?
Very well put.
Yeah, very well put.
You know, it's sad, to think that, he got shot 9 times, and in the manner of which it happened, the gunshot in the mouth is, to me, the most alerting thing. Like, they shot this man in the mouth. Not only did they shoot him in the back, but in the mouth. Like, how does that make sense from just like, an ergonomic standpoint? Like,
right.
You surrounded his body at that point. You know what I mean? Like so again, like Miracle said, to not really have an answer of why he was shot X amount of times, and there's no information really being disseminated from, the state police department or whomever is handling this, Venango County Police or whomever it is. It's just wild, man. And I feel bad for the family because they got to deal with this, and then
absolutely
it's a lot of immigrants that come. Unfortunately, his case isn't dissimilar from a lot of people within the past 10 years that have come to the States from foreign, right? That have met against violence, cab drivers, truck drivers,
right,
clerks, clerks, these quote unquote low skilled workers that, hoe ass Eric Adams is calling, that have succumbed to violence from, people in the States. And it's just sad, man. It's super sad.
And just like you said, I mean, people just want answers. And I think like the idea that like, obviously people were there, people were questions, like what did they say? What like to say, like, I mean, do you have the murder weapon? Like the people were questioning, they had guns, he's shot, like to just talk to them and say, oh, we let them go pending further investigation. It's like, well, wait a second. And I think like, Miracle, you were gonna say something?
And it's like an ongoing thing because there's this also lady, I believe she's in Kentucky or Connecticut, who's 23 years old. She went on a date with this older white man. He calls the cops like she's dead, and they also let him go, right?
Right.
But it was like Lauren Smith Williams, and it's this ongoing situation where it's like, how is it that you can't even arrest people? You can't prosecute people. You can't do the bare minimum, but you have all these millions of dollars and resources to keep the community safe. Right. That's the issue. And when it comes to specifically our immigrant population, we know here in Pennsylvania, a part of this whole, whether it was from Tree of Life or some of the other incidents happened, this whole replacement theory that is being pushed as anti-immigrant is fueling white supremacy. And we have all of these white supremacist paramilitary organizations operating within our borders, and nobody really is talking about it. And so when we know that Peter is being killed in a place that is considered the local home of the KKK, where it is considered to be a place where white supremacists are able to freely organize and operate, right? We want more answers. We could find out in 6 months everything, it was an accident. It was what was the, if the vice president can shoot his friend during a hunting trip, so can other people, right?
Right.
That's what can happen, but it's just a lack of communication and respect. We lived through a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's like, this is also why I think, we have to make sure that we're communicating with our brothers and sisters that are immigrants and maybe new to this country, because you might, you're new to Pittsburgh, you're new to this area. You might not know that you might not want to be the only Black person going to Venango County with a bunch of white people with guns. Like you might, you thinking like, this America, I'm in America, like I'm good, I'm straight, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so I think like this is why it's important for us to communicate, because we have a certain experience as Black people in America because we've lived with white people, and so we know it's like, hey, you want to come up to Venango County with us and we're gonna get drunk or whatever, we're gonna go on this hunting trip. It's like, nah, I'm good, homie. Like I'm cool. I'm gonna stay right here. You know what I mean? We can hunt around the corner. And so I think that's also part of the thing. Like we have to make sure that we're communicating and we're not, because sometimes there is division between Black Americans and Black immigrants. And you know, we need to really look at, no, we got to come together, we got to support one another. And so, you know, we as an organization, we are calling for, you know, what BPAP and many others are calling for. We need an investigation. And I think to tell us to be patient in the face of what we know, it's like, come on, man. Like, if you have a person that is dead, that has bullet holes in them, and you have people with weapons that shoot bullets, at least they could be detained or given some type of charge, some reckless endangerment, some type of charge that would cause you to be able to detain them. But like you said, it's reminiscent of Trayvon, where George Zimmerman was given his gun back and basically told to go home. And it took a nationwide effort of millions of people around the country just to even get George Zimmerman to be rearrested for the murder of Trayvon Martin. So it's something that we've seen many times before. You know, we also had the case of Jim Rogers, who, what we've been talking about a few times on the show. Jim Rogers was a man that was tased. Now we're finding out he was tased more than 8 times by Pittsburgh police officers for a $50 bike. He pleaded for help for 17 minutes, but he was not given any help. His death was ruled accidental. I want to ask you, Miracle, like, what does that mean? You know, his death wasn't ruled a homicide, it was ruled accidental. Does that mean, because right now, I guess 9 officers are facing discipline? You know what I'm saying? And just to say, you know, and I see you say, Mandy, the bike, the neighbor said he could have that bike, Mandy, but those neighbors also called the police officers twice. They called the police officers came, and then they called the police officer when Jim Rogers brought the bike back. So though that family should also, to me, I'm just speaking for Jasiri, that family is accountable for weaponizing 911 against Jim Rogers, because if he came and brought the bike back, why are you calling 911 again? You know what I'm saying? Right. He brought the bike back. You know what I'm saying? So what does that mean that his death is ruled accidental? And does that mean, like, it's hard for me to say. I mean, I don't believe that any of these police officers are facing any prosecution. Should they? Could they? How do we organize to do that?
You have to have a prosecutor who has the political will to do so. We're looking at Minnesota, and we're seeing Keith Ellison prosecute a lot of these cases because he has the political will and the personal responsibility to do so. You can easily prosecute these officers under a conspiracy charge, talking about they had the requisite intent after the 8th taser to deny medical care, which was, you know, reckless at the most, negligent at best. And they worked together, allegedly, according to the report, to stop medical care, to stop or to interrupt medical care on the scene and transport him to the jail. So we could get manslaughter. I don't foresee actual first or second degree murder charges happening, just because it when it comes to police, there is too much that juries are able to assume that the police are acting like they're supposed to. They're acting in concert with their training. So it's easier to do a lot of the lower level charges. I know the family wants like first and second degree murder charges, the sister-in-law and the nieces, but I don't foresee that actually happening. But again, white supremacy, these are Black officers. So who knows? But calling it an accidental death, no, it doesn't stop it from being a prosecution because of the circumstances on the ground. You have someone who's tased multiple times. You have somebody who allegedly is asking for help, medical assistance multiple times. You have a failure to render medical aid. You have a failure to check on someone during transport. Knowing that you tased, I believe you're only supposed to tase the person twice. I can't remember how many times you're supposed to, like, I think it's only between like 2 or 3 times, and they're supposed to go for medical support. So that it's easy to process. As a case, it's easily prosecute. You can prosecute, but I don't foresee Pittsburgh really doing it unless the video camera is going to show us something different, because as you said, and it doesn't get often talked about, the community, the neighborhood, called the cops multiple times. Oh, I will never be a prosecutor, babe. That's never happening. They called the prosecutor multiple times. I mean, they called the police multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And demanded action. And actually, the one witness's account, kind of got aggressive with the police. When the police first said, hey, there's no bike, there's no person, we really can't do anything.
Right.
So because of that circumstances, I don't really foresee maybe a couple of assault charges, definitely going to get reamed on civil.
But that's that thing. I think that's like, and I know some places, other places have passed like legislation like that, I forget, in Oakland, and they called it like Karen legislation. I forget what the Karen Act, because I mean, I really think that, and I know, Miracle, we want to be abolitionists, but I be feeling like, I'm just saying, I feel like they should face some type of, consequences, for doing that. They called the police came, and just like you said, ain't no bike, ain't no man, $50 bike. Like, what are we doing? And the police left, like they wanted some type of street I don't know, like why? You know what I'm saying? Like, why was it so important to them that this man faced? And so if he had to face consequences, damn sure you should have to face consequences, because you participated in the death of this man. And that's how I feel.
The act is called Caution Against Racially Expletive Non-Emergencies Act.
I don't believe the police should be called for anything outside of a life and death emergency. I'm gonna be very honest.
Right.
I think we should have like some type of community response force that doesn't have weapons, that doesn't have things, because like when you're calling the police, yes, you want law and order, yes, you want to feel safe, but you're also calling in a state actor to use deadly violence, regardless of the situation.
100%. 100%.
And not to be like, oh, pro police. I think we are calling our police officers way too much. We are making them do too many things that are outside the scope of safety. Yes. And then we get these officers who are burnt out, who are angry, who are aggressive. And then we wonder why we get these situations. And so I don't believe in calling the police unless it's an emergency. But our system is, we have to call the cops for everything. You got to call the cops to the police report. You got to call the cops if your neighbors parked in your yard, because it's just ridiculous. So
well, speaking of that, Miracle, we have a series of Karens, because we were off, and one of our Karens did call 911, Miracle. And when she called 911, she felt like she had a really legitimate reason.
And what was this reason? She said she has the God-given right to breathe O2 and not CO2.
And not CO2. Can you play that? This is Karen, who called 911 because she was being asked to wear a mask.
The science of that is just wrong. That's not how science works.
But not the police. She didn't call the police department. She called 911. Go ahead. You can play it.
That's how you want to. No, I'm just saying. I can provide you reasonable accommodation.
I won't wear a mask because I can't. I'll have a panic attack. I will freak out. I will have an anxiety attack. I know what I want. I'm here at the end with the understanding no one's in the store. You can either accommodate me by giving me an hour at the end of every day, an hour at the beginning of the day. I'm here to buy some things and leave. I don't want to call 911 on you, but I will. I'm about to, because I'm here.
If you're committed to that, if you don't want to wear a mask, then fine.
So would you like me to call 911?
I really would not like you to. Okay, I would like to not
also. So there is no one in the store. There is no one in the store.
There's me in the store.
There's you. So you stand 7,000 feet away from me.
Ma'am, I'm just trying to do my job.
Here, and I'm trying to make sure that I have rights. So you're going to hear that they're actually going to.
7,000 feet
make sure to hear that in the end.
Okay, fine.
And here's the thing. People don't understand
right here. From here, I've driven 20 minutes out. I'll drive 20 minutes back.
Why should I care about?
Her voice is so fucking annoying.
Right. If I'm working at a store, why should I care how far you drove or not?
As per the 1964 Civil Rights Act, I cannot be discriminated against. I do have a right to
There they go, quote Martin Luther King.
CO2, and I am being
bringing Dr. King into it. Send her ass to jail just for that shit.
Jesus and Beyonce every day, like, why do y'all mention me and stuff? Like,
because you would not like to wear a mask.
It's called Bones and Scones, and I'm being discriminated against because I'm being told I need to wear a mask, even though I have a religious exemption right and a God-given right to be able to breathe.
And you know what?
I thought it was a medical exemption.
Yes, medical exemption too. It's all.
She's like, I got it all.
Pause.
You can pause this. You can pause this.
This is the lies, and this makes me so angry because
I hate her, man. Fucking hate her.
I hate people do that. There are legitimate
space.
But there are legitimate sexual assault survivors, trafficking survivors who cannot wear face masks or have stuff over their face because of the trauma they have experienced. Right. And when people go through and do these stupid viral videos to just terrorize workers, they're literally making it hard for people who have actual accommodations to go and get things serviced. Because you would have known if you had a medical accommodation, you call the store, you let them know, you actually do kind of like a virtual shopper experience, and they bring the stuff to your car, or they bring it out to a cart and you take it to your car. That is what the accommodations are for a lot of these stores. Number one, a medical exemption is not the same as a religious exemption, which is like, why do y'all do this? But
God wanted us to breathe O2, Miracle, not CO2.
Well, you know what? God created the pandemic, so here we are. So maybe he just wants us all to die. Because he's irritated with everyone.
Miracle, I'm sending your number to the Jehovah's Witnesses right now to talk some flood.
He had the flood. Sometimes that's the Lord is like, you know what? Maybe humanity doesn't need to be here. So maybe he wants you to breathe CO2. That would be my response. But obviously, I don't work there. And obviously, I don't work at 911 because you probably get fired.
I mean, I was just saying, I mean, if you hung up on that person, I mean, it's not an emergency. You're being discriminated against at a store because you won't make, but, you know, and I wish somebody on that one would be like, you know, I don't know.
You can wear a mesh mask. There's so many things. You can just pull your shirt up over. And
if that's her logic, like, what does she do when she keeps her windows shut in the winter when it's cold in her house?
She doesn't.
Like
God doesn't. God ain't make windows.
God ain't make windows, man.
Man made windows, brother. God want us to breathe. She don't use no air conditioning.
Nothing. Why are you going to a store? God didn't make that store. Man made that store.
Hey, how about this? Bake you a scone. Bake your religious exception as a scone at your house. Okay, go on Google, and that'd be the thing. Like, just like you said, Miracle. If you were serious and you couldn't wear a mask, there's online shopping. There's all types of people that can deliver stuff to you. You don't have to interact with no one, but you want to make some point and you want to film something. And she talks in the video that she called 911 multiple times. I mean, like,
you know what, man? This is why. See, God knew I need to be in space because that's why He sent that meteorite to Pittsburgh.
He was coming for you. But the thing is, there's no shoes, no shirt, no service. Exactly. You are required to put things on your body just to navigate the outside world outside of your home. So I don't really necessarily understand people being angry about a mask. I kind of understand all the vaccine hesitancy, all that type of stuff, but like the mask, bro, like it's just
at this point, like there's so many mask options, and you can accessorize your mask, you can bedazzle it, right? Yeah. You can just get them. Right.
Seatbelts. I mean, it's just
non-smoking sections in restaurants.
Non-smoking sections. I mean, it's just so much, and it's just. But I mean, this is where we are. Unfortunately, this is where we are. So we have, I guess we can get to our white pages. Our white pages today. We're doing the Kendrick white pages. This is our white pages. Miles Marshall Lewis wrote a book about Kendrick Lamar, who hopefully has some new music coming in 2022. The Power and Poetry of Kendrick Lamar. Promise that you'll sing about me. This is our book. This actually came to me as a gift from Motormouth Media. Shout out to them. So get your support Lamar's book, and then hopefully he'll drop some new music soon, and we can support that. There's pictures in this, brother. So
yes. It's like an audio. That's even better than an audio book. I love pictures, man.
And do we have the GoFundMe for our call to action? Do we have that? Miracle, do you have that link?
Which was it for?
The Peter Spencer
yes.
GoFundMe. We should do two, because I know that Peter Spencer has a GoFundMe, and then the young trans woman who was recently killed. Can you say a little bit about that? Miracle also has a GoFundMe.
Yes, I apologize. I'll post the GoFundMe links in the chat. But the first day of the year, a young 19-year-old woman was shot and murdered in Wilkinsburg. One of the reasons it was late to the program was at her balloon release and was coming through. A lot of information is still being investigated. And again, I want to caution and urge people to not go off rumors. We don't know all the reasons why these incidents are occurring. So just to please make sure that people's emotions do not get the best of them, because we don't want any more pain and violence. There is going to be a couple of marches coming up next week in her honor. But she was 19 and she was shot and basically left for dead. But she is the same person. If you remember a few years ago in Woodland Hills, there was a situation where the school resource officer knocked out a student's tooth. This was the same young person, right? And so talking about a life of trauma and violence that that she went through, and that situation was very. There were a lot of slurs and things happened with that situation, and she didn't even get some of the protection that she needed because she was not fully herself at that point. And so
I have the GoFundMe too. I'll just drop it in. I just dropped the Justice for Peter GoFundMe, and I have the other GoFundMe. Is it Amari? Am I pronouncing that right?
Amari Lay. And so
Amari Lay. So I'm putting this out there as well.
And so it's just one of those things, just to remind people again, when we talk about the work that we're doing and fighting white supremacy, Black people's lives are really going through it, and there's so much trauma, compounding trauma that Black people have to go through, especially within this region. And so just to show a little more love and support, especially to our kids, they're going through it, they're grieving, and so we're looking at all their anger and violence. So just show them a little love and support. Take on some more as mentors, apprentices.
Absolutely.
She was an artist. She was a cheer captain, a teacher. It would cheer and dance, and now like all of her students are grieving her. So, yeah. Absolutely.
So, both of those you can donate to, and yeah, we'll be back next week. I mean, obviously, white supremacy will be too, but I guess we'll see. What happens in all of these different cases, but ultimately be safe. It's still a pandemic. Folks are still, getting COVID and having to go to the hospital. And so definitely protect yourself, wear your mask, wash your hands, all the stuff that we should have been doing, but can do it. And then, definitely get well, Treble. We hope he'll be back with us next week. And anything else? Do we have any other announcements? Anything happening?
Yes, tomorrow again from 11 to 12:30. Please make sure you're tuned in to our Vigil for Democracy as we talk about how you can join the fight to support voting rights on January 6th. There's gonna be a lot of events tomorrow, so please make sure you tune in. We have speakers from CASA San Jose, the Pennsylvania Poor People's Campaign, Keystone Progress, Trans Uniting, Project Matters.
Oh, wow.
So we have a lot of people coming. So make sure you tune in, join us, and we will see y'all tomorrow at 11 a.m.
All right. See y'all tomorrow. Until then, be safe. We'll see y'all next week. Peace. One hood.
Peace.
Welcome to the whitest house. Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. They suck the blood of the poor and they wipe their mouth. The last gas of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the